morning. I usually have like a whole morning routine worked up, but today I'm not gonna do it because I just feel like I don't want to and I can't, so oh, I need water. However, drinking water is the first thing that I do. I love the way that they were just sitting over there. It's so sweet. But Bambi knows I'm doing makeup and he loves to join and sit in my lap. I wanted to just open up and make a very casual like June, July notes video, and originally I was gonna scrap that idea because I've been struggling, and it's mostly with my shadow self, it's mostly with like my ego, and I figured that since I've identified the problem, oh Prairie, hi, and am like aware enough about it that I could definitely just try to recuperate and handle it myself. And I was laying in bed today just thinking about how it might contribute to the difficulty if I have this mindset of like, oh, just keep a hush hush, just handle it on your own. Because it's not like there's a rule of like, oh my god, I gotta share everything on the internet, I gotta like be 100% open, because boundaries are super important for mental health too, and like work-life separation and stuff. What am I trying to do? Sunscreen. And with that said though, it's come time that I like make my own decisions and I like think about what I want. And I feel like somewhere along the way, I would just like, listen to advice from people in my life, and be like, okay, yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, that's true. And then maybe like growing up to now, like I've never really listened to myself because maybe like low self-esteem. I'd be like, oh, like, yeah, what you said. You know what? You're probably right. And that's like self-abandonment. So anyway, it's not like anyone ever really told me, but I just felt like, to be honest, like I look back on my content and one day I just realized how like all of last year, so much of my videos were about like grief and talking about ups and downs and struggles, and maybe I like got a little bit tired of it, or maybe honestly because like my views are so much lower than they used to be, and like my videos and the channel, like the vibe of it is just not the same. I think like my shadow self was like, why don't you connect the dots? You know, like people don't want to watch your content anymore because you talk about negative stuff, and they're not gonna like you if you're just like a negative Nancy. And so maybe that has a big part to do with like, okay, so I decided, I was like, okay, like I don't want to be like that anymore, or like that's not who will be appropriate for the internet space, for like the public space. Like I want to show up as my best self and spread my love and light, and I don't want to like do the world a disservice of like always talking about like sadness and all of that stuff. And like honestly, it's been weird. Like I feel like I've been cursed, because after doing that and like basically trying to become what I'm not, and like not accepting myself and like rejecting who I am because I feel like it's not acceptable, like that's where it all started crumbling and like going to shit. And I feel like there's some other things and just like other like difficulties that's part of growing up and getting used to still like post-grad life and post-COVID life and being a young adult and living on my own, like all things that I need help to handle sometimes. And like talk therapy has been helpful. I know it looks like I have intense blush, but I swear it kind of fades quickly, so that's why it's like this. But so then today I was in bed. I normally never use my phone in bed because I have certain rules, and my bedroom, luckily, like now I can afford to have my own like bedroom rather than when I lived in a studio last year, right? So there was like less physical separation. So now that I have like a living room and like an office room and a bedroom, like the bedroom is just for sleeping and like meditating, and no phones, because ever since I was a teenager, I think like I become really, really stimulated by screens and watching things. So I'm somebody who like never ever goes on social media in bed. Like literally that's like, to me, if I start forming that habit, it's almost like saying like, oh yeah, I might pick up smoking or something like that, where it's like I already know, I'm like, it's probably not the best idea, like it might turn into something else. And many people, like my sister, she just chills in bed and watches funny videos or like pretty insightful videos, but I can't do that. Like the way I feel about going on electronics in my bed is like, I will literally just never sleep well anymore. It took me years to nurture like a decent sleep. I don't even think it's a habit, like a sleep ability. I'm a very light sleeper. If you watch my college vlogs, you probably saw how much I would like bitch about how difficult it was to sleep with a roommate and stuff, and like it really affects my physical health. Because last week I went to watch Barbie Oppenheimer double feature, and the tickets were sold out, so we had to watch it at like 10 p.m. and the 3-hour long movie would get out at like almost like 2 a.m. and you know I had to come home and stuff. So I was like, okay, like I'm about to do this. And I'm also somebody that like doesn't stay up late because I'm just not, I just feel like my body's not very capable of doing it. So lo and behold, I slept poorly, and then I went to work out the next day. I got really exhausted, and then I got a crazy fever the following day and a half. Like I tested negative, like it was not from anything, probably just like germs that normally my immune system is supposed to fight off, but because the exhaustion compromised that ability, it was like wham, I was like really, really, really down. So I had to recover from that. But yeah, I've just been like noticing how a lot of things are interconnected, and like one of which is like when I think about my relationship with my YouTube channel. Recently I've been having a lot of like sponsor videos, for example, and next week there's gonna be another one, and a part of me was like a little nervous about that because I guess I just didn't want to come off as like that's the only reason why I make content or I care. It's like obviously the other way around. It's like being able to have sponsorships is so that I can make more content and have more creative freedom. And it's just been like kind of tough because, you know, especially with less views, the sponsors would want to go to more, I almost say like, I just want to say more successful channels. So then it's, the offers are like more sparse. So I feel kind of obliged to like say yes whenever I do get the opportunity. So like this year, it kind of just so happened to be like boom all at once, like in a 2-month span. And it was like really, really like dry before that. So I was a little bit nervous, but I'm getting through it. And it's just like the part of like, oh, okay, like paying the bills, whatever. Like I can't really have remorse about it because it's just part of being an adult and like having to survive in capitalism. So like that's that. But like the other part of me that like wants to like be authentic and share my art with this channel with you guys, like I feel like I kind of shriveled away, because even like just like my last videos, like I feel like I saw signs of me being down, like when I was talking about external validation. And honestly, on that front, I feel like it's been better. Like I don't think I was just completely clowning myself when it came to talking about like I met my higher self, because I do have those times where I'm like, wow, I would really like every day to be like this, or to feel like this more, and like step more into this space of like feeling secure in my existence, and feeling like I validate myself. Or even just like, I heard this quote, are you living or are you proving your existence? No, it went, are you living or are you justifying your existence? So it's like in those moments where I'm like my higher self, like I don't justify my existence. I'm just like, eh. And yeah, so like maybe like a part of me, like when I look back on like my track record of like all the videos where I'm like talking about like sadness or whatever, I'm like, like I feel a little bit like that's all I drone on about, and a part of me like doesn't like that, I guess. And that's sad, because I'm here to tell myself today, I'm like trying to say it's okay. Like it's okay, that's who I was, because your past doesn't define you in this very moment. And I want to be whoever I choose to be when I wake up, and be grateful for the consciousness and the breath that I can return to this life, and not feel like my past defines me. Hold on, my SD cards are running out of battery, out of space, so I gotta be right back. Okay, and we're back. Oh yeah, I was talking about like past defines you. So yeah, I definitely think it's harder when our mediums of like everyday, like day-to-day existence is like social media, where there's like this linear, what's that word I'm trying to come up with, like anthology of like everybody's existence, and it's not necessarily like reality, but it gives us this feeling that like it matters a lot, like perception matters a lot. And so I think like self-objectification is almost inevitable, and I read about this in an article. So if you don't know what like self-objectification means, it is like when you like flatten yourself to be defined by like one thing, whether it's like your career or your looks or your ability to do like one thing really well, like say like you're talented or pretty like expert on like something, and you basically just value yourself and like see your worth in reflection to that. Like that's all you are to you. And it's kind of like, for example, like strangers can't help but objectify us. Like if you're in line talking to someone, they'll be like, oh, look at that person. They'll like project and assume all these things about your identity based on like how you carry yourself, what you're wearing, how you talk. And like say you're having a bad day, so they'll be like, oh, like the bitch is just like, what's wrong with her? Like they're like objectifying, because now you're just that like mad person, or you're like that really nice person, you know, whatever. So like you get my point. So I feel like at this point, when you self-objectify, and when like you kind of see yourself from the outside, that's when you become disconnected to your soul and like what you feel and what you want to discover, because you're just so self-conscious. And I definitely like reflected a lot this last month and thought about like social media and like how my career is intertwined with YouTube, and basically like watching myself from every angle possible and going through the motions of like editing my videos, aka being like, these parts of me I don't like, they're not good, I'm gonna discard them, like don't want to show them. It kind of like reinforces this idea that there's part of me that needs to be discarded, there's part of me that's like more lovable, more approvable, whatever. So I do think that like inevitably it has taken a toll on me, where like the feeling that I have to be perfect even though like no one really said anything, it just was insidiously like changing my brain and like how I receive dopamine. And even like social media, if you don't do it for work at all, I think the way that it plays with our like reward systems, so that you're basically addicted to like checking it, you know, like you're checking to see if there's like more likes or whatever, and like whenever you check something and you get that satisfaction, you're like, oh yeah, that's like your brain's reward system, the chemicals being like, yay, like you get a little bit of dopamine right now. So then literally your body is like, repeat that because we want that. So that had happened to me, to be like, okay, you know, like I edit videos, like people find it entertaining or amusing or whatever. So my brain's like, repeat that, like do that. So then over time, like I would not be surprised at all that if I got my brain scanned, that like the structures of how I can feel dopamine, like serotonin, and just all of those hormones and excreted chemicals, whatever, has like been restructured. So yeah, I think the harmful part of that is that when it's like attached to that, then it can become like an addiction. And although it's not so severe, it just means that like if I no longer attach my worth to that, then like I feel like a withdrawal all the time. So maybe that's like partly what I'm going through. Like I feel really low a lot, and I'm at the point where I feel like, wait, there's actually nothing like really wrong with my day, but I just feel like low, but then also really sensitive and just not that well. And it was definitely like compounding. Like I felt like some level of like compounded like shame or guilt because I wasn't like talking about it. Like normally I'm like so like used to talking about it, but I wasn't talking about it. So then when I would see friends, I feel really not myself because I just like feel really disconnected and isolated, and it would actually like hurt to like say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna bring myself to go and have fun, and then when I like don't feel like I can meet their energy or like be who I normally am, I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm like, am I taking them for granted? Where I go home just feeling weird because I'm like, oh, normally I like laugh a ton, and right now I just like keep thinking I want to go home and like hide, and I really don't like that feeling of how it's like robbing me of my like connection to people, because that's like so important to health and like survival, like human connection and belonging, and I just like really want that and I need that, and yet like I feel like there's like this like barrier. But anyway, so I'm here because I'm trying to do like an exercise for myself of like reclaiming space, like taking up space no matter what, no matter like how I am, because that's me telling the universe, or like me telling myself, hey, I accept you, like in sickness and in health, like whether you are at your best or not, and you need some help or whatever, like no part of you needs to be locked away. And I'm going to try to do that for myself and like enjoy the act of creating videos, because I feel like in this last month it has kind of slipped away from me, because one, like I was motivated from like a pragmatic level of like, okay, just get these videos done to pay the bills and like that's it, like go rest. But then like there's also the part of me that's like, I guess like feeling like I have to like look a certain way, so then I didn't want there to be too many like sponsor videos, so I was like kind of like pushing myself to like create a lot of videos to like balance it out. And definitely like along the way I just lost my enjoyment for it, and whether it's also because just like my mood in general has made me lose enjoyment for it, but I think it's also like my mindset. I feel like my mindset like literally says like, oh, because your videos don't get as much attention anymore, then you're not allowed to enjoy it as much. And that's like really bold, because really like the only proof I need in myself is that I'll be doing this like no matter what. I've been doing this since I was like 13, 14, and not knowing the outcome, and I'm very blessed and so grateful for like the journey and all the experiences that I've had along the way. Hold on. But yeah, like I'm gonna figure it out. I'm going to like reflect a lot and figure it out, because I think like I spend too much time looking to other people to tell me what to think. Like I think like my sister at one point was just genuinely trying to be helpful and say like, maybe you just don't want to do it anymore. Like you've been making videos for like 10 years. It's natural. Like sometimes you grow out of things, like etc. And excuse me. I can see how that's true to a degree, but like as I was laying there in bed today trying to be kind to myself, I realized like, for example, when I went to school and felt really lonely, like vlogging was a mode of survival for me. And as an artist, I think when you're like alive and things are happening, it's really difficult to truly understand like this movement of what's going on, because right now like we're just watching all of these vloggers and we're thinking like, okay, like it's just like a cool new job and whatever, but like really think about how that's changed for like humanity and culture, and what it's gonna be like when I'm not even here anymore. So like in a way, like videos are my legacy and my life's work, like my medium. And just because like it wasn't previously, I don't know, like in an institution being like, oh yeah, like this is so legitimate and so valid, like I think I never like saw it as that, or allowed myself to see my videos as like my body of work and art. And when I like think about transitioning careers or like doing something else, I just think like, wow, like I have no experience, like I've done nothing since art school, like I haven't like created work. It's like I automatically just like disown all of my videos for some reason, because I'm like, oh, that's not art, that's like just my vlogs, it's just like video diaries. But that's like a whole thing. It's like thinking about like what drives you, human, to vlog and like have this like connection and make like a little movie with probably some sort of theme to it, right? Like, oh, this is what I did today, like this is how I live my life. That's like, I feel like it's the human need to be like, remember me, like I was here, kind of like the handprint in the cave paintings. It's like, oh, like I was here once, and the stories that we tell each other and the stories that like remain and can be passed on, like it means something. So that's what made me think like, you know what, I want to turn on my camera, and I just want to let it be my thing. I want to like feel like I do it because of what I gain from it, which is weird because you always think that's what you're doing it for. But like this time around, it's like I haven't been making videos because I'm just thinking like, oh, I'm not up for it. I gotta wait until I'm like more bubbly, right? Like until like I would make a more positive impact on people. But then what had been happening is that like I think I have just been shriveling up and becoming more and more sad because like I genuinely like doing this thing, and I like took this away from myself. I'm like, yeah, here's this thing that you used to like to do and bring yourself enjoyment. Now, no, you're not allowed to do it because you're not like well enough to do it, or you're not happy enough. So like, no, like 没收 in Chinese, it just means like confiscated. So I'm like punishing myself. And recently I've just been thinking about like how, as I said before, like vlogging was like a mode of survival for me when I felt really lonely and I went off to art university. Like as a teenager, I was really anxious, very like socially anxious, and I think like I'm like naturally kind of a solitary tiger. So I wasn't proud of that. And when there would be like comments like in my freshman year of people asking like, where are your friends, like why do you never hang out with your roommate, like I felt actually ashamed instead of just saying like, oh, like I sometimes do, or like occasionally I'm just more of like a lone wolf or whatever. Like I didn't say that. I think I wasn't confident in myself, and I just internalized those comments, and I just thought like, oh, there's something wrong with me, like yeah, like I shouldn't be doing this or whatever. Oh shit, I have so much like sleep in my eyes. Hee. This is gross, but whatever, I don't care. I'm gonna brush my teeth and dash out the door in like 20 minutes because I have to meet friends for coffee. It just stopped raining, so I hope. I don't know why my eyes are so puffy. This is what Ariana Grande wants to look like, you know? But she's moved on from her Asian skin to white lady skin. So anyway, I'm just excited to do what I love, and I don't really think anyone ever pointed fingers and told me like, you're not allowed to do this because it's too sad, or you're not allowed to do this because it doesn't have enough views anymore. I feel like that's just like toxic arbitrary rules that I burn inside my brain, and I'm trying to unlearn it. And I honestly don't even think I need to like publish this video or like do anything to like broadcast it to the world, but like maybe that's who I am. Yeah, like maybe like some people can live their whole lives in private and be like very connected to themselves and very honest and very authentic and whatever, but like I just feel this need to be like, this is me, to take up space, I guess, in this way. So it's not like there's a hierarchy and I'm trying to say like one is better, but I feel like that's how I used to think and operate, and that's silly. So yeah, so like what I had been thinking is like, I really miss like making vlogs because it was like juicy, like the process of it. I became so outcome oriented. I became so like, what is this vlog gonna be like? Is it gonna be entertaining enough? Is it gonna be blah, 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 blah? Like I used to just make videos, and like every Friday I would stitch whatever I have together and call it a night. You know, I used to just be like, okay, like let's see what the hell like collected this week, and that was fun. It was like a fun process of like discovery for myself. And then whatever came out was like really raw. So that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about like returning to this process in which I just like really enjoyed it and didn't really think about the outcome, didn't think about like, is a thumbnail like this and that, like think about, is it gonna be popular or viral or whatever, because I feel like I've given myself enough time and I've given myself enough like tries at like being what I think people want, and now I'm learning like, no, that doesn't count for anything. Like if I do that, I'm really just hurting myself. So I suddenly got really hungry. So yeah, I just popped on for this like kind of unofficial June and July video. I know that I was gonna do like the Q&A. I actually filmed an entire June notes video, like an hour of footage, and then I even edited it like over halfway, but I ended up deleting it because it just like didn't feel right. So I'm gonna hang on to those like Q&A questions that I received in my May notes inbox. And am I missing anything in my routine? No, I think this is pretty much it. I just need to like use my straightener because my hair is really, really prickly and stiff. So I literally can't have bangs unless I use heat to style it. But yeah, so here's this like long chatty video. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, well, more of like an update is like recently I've been spending more time in my studio. Like I got this art studio and I have been trying to paint every day and feeling like more in touch with myself. So just like, I'm glad. Like I feel more hopeful. I feel like I'm learning for the first time, like in a while at least, like what it is to like live for myself and what that really means. Because sometimes like I think it's enough to appear like I'm living for myself, but then if I feel this sense of unease, I listen to my intuition, and there's like always a reason why. There's always a reason why. So even if it's like my like low mood or depression is triggered, like I really want to get to the bottom of like seeing if I'm addressing all of the things that are like triggering it or perpetuating it. And then on the side, of course, like seeking treatment and seeking help and like taking care of myself. So it's a step. So yeah, I miss making vlogs for the fun of it. Like I miss making it so that it felt like I was like this like explorer of the world. Like I would walk around with my camera and like I'll be this explorer. I feel like the last time I kind of felt like that was when I went to Japan and I was like creating this little like cinematic vlog, and that was really fun, and I want to do that. Like it doesn't have to be like a big travel adventure, you know. It doesn't have to be like every day can feel special. And like I think that was one of my like mottos, is like the little things in life really make it what it is. Like enjoy the details and be grateful for them. So it's like it doesn't have to be like when you go on these like grand adventures, because like what about like your life? Like every day is an adventure. So I was thinking today that the next few vlogs I'm gonna experiment like creating this like theme series called Annabelle's Adventure, and who knows what I'll be up to, but that's my attempt to see life as an adventure, and this is my art and it's my legacy. So this is my attempt to share with you that here I am, I'm imperfect, and I'm okay with it, and I have so much like dreams and hopes and love to share, and I cannot believe that I abandoned myself and closed it away, and only now I'm like really becoming conscious of that. And like I kind of got it right when I realized like you can't look to external validation, but then I didn't really know how to give it to myself. And I think one starting point is at least telling yourself like you're okay right now. Like right now, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay because I wanna my little like shadow self voice wants to say no, it's not. Like it'll be okay when blank. It'll be okay when blank. If I blank, if I get better, blah, 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 blah. Like that is the number one obstacle for me right now. Like I've kind of like come face to face with that. It's like so long as I think that, that's a negative affirmation right there. So I need to tell myself it's okay. Like it's okay that you're not where you want to be because you're working on it and you're doing things from a genuine place, and that's okay. Like that's okay. If you're not confident right now, like that's okay. Because like the shame is what like makes me shrink so much more. So yeah, that's it. I love you. I'm gonna today I'm going to go get coffee, go paint. Bye.